Hi everybody, welcome to Fab Hacks. I'm Rosemary and thanks for stopping by. Today I'm excited to share my very most favoritist decorating hack of all time. I mean the bestest, my favoritist. Now the reason that it's my favorite is because it enables me to take this and make it into this. Or take something like this and make it into something like this. Also something like this and turn it into something like this. And better yet, I make it from old things and free stuff. If you'd like to see how I do it, let's check it out. So here's my old stuff. So a friend was recently getting rid of some of her old Christmas items and I told her don't throw them away. Let's see what you have there and what I can do with it. So she had this wreath and this tree. And then way in the bottom of one of my Christmas boxes, I had this little primitive style wreath. And Evelyn, I know you know what I'm talking about. But before I sent it back to the 1990s, I thought I'd give it a shot in this century. So now for the free stuff. If you're not aware, any place that sells a fresh cut trees will have loads and loads of these branches available that they're just going to throw into the trash. And I have found, I usually go to Home Depot and Lowe's, and they are more than happy to give me as many of these branches as I want. And sometimes they'll even have like specialty things like this. When I went to Lowe's yesterday, they did have these other kinds of evergreens and mixing in with the pile. And like I said, they were happy to give me all that I wanted, because these are just trimmings from when they give a fresh cut on the bottom and they're just going to throw them away. The first project I'm going to work on is the larger wreath. And so the first thing I did was remove those old lights because the wire was broken and cut, and I just took all those off. And then I'm going to just go through and fluff all the branches. And you'll see even just by doing that, it'll make it look 100 times better. But just fluff the branches, make it nice and wide, and open up the framing underneath so that when I stick the branches of the fresh evergreens in, I can line them up and attach them properly. Then I'm just going to take my fresh evergreens and I'm going to cut probably about like 7 to 8 inch pieces of the evergreen to put into the fake wreath. I'm going to cut quite a few, probably about 30 or 40 pieces even just to start, and probably more than that. And I really want to make it nice and full and cover up all of the artificial wreath. And why not really load it up? Because it's free. And then I'm going to just start inserting the real pine into the fake pine. And what I do is I kind of just take one of the fake pines and wrap it around the base of the real pine just to hold it in place. Now, I will do this at first, but then when it gets really full, you can just start sticking the pines in because it's so full that it just holds them, it locks them right in place. And then I'm just going to continue going around the entire wreath using the same method of sliding in the real pine into one of the branches of the fake pine and then wrapping it around to lock it in place. And then notice that I'm putting them all kind of going in that same direction until they get all the way around. So the tops of the evergreen will be all pointing in the same direction all the way in a circle around the wreath. And now you can see I've completed the entire wreath. You can see how nice and full it is, and if it doesn't look like something that you would have purchased right from the tree lot for $40, $50. I'm not sure what they're selling them for these days, but I'm pretty sure it's not free. And then you see how I'm just going back in and filling in those little spots And here I'm just sticking them in, not tying them to anything, and they lock in there pretty good because of the fullness of the wreath. Now you can just add a bow and you would have a beautiful wreath. I am going to, however, use these little picks that I had from Walmart. I had them for another project and I was going to take them back, and I thought, well, why not? Let me just use them for these, for this wreath. So all I'm doing here, again, because now they're so full, I can really kind of just stick in these picks, and they're able to just kind of lock into place, and they'll stay nice and tight in the wreath just doing that. And then I'm just going to keep adding the picks, kind of going back and forth, putting the red berries to the left and then the red berries to the right, all the way around. And I used 10 picks for this wreath. And this wreath is about a 22-inch wreath, the original wreath. And then once it's done, I'm going to just add a pretty plaid bow, hang it on the door, and there you have a beautiful wreath from something that was basically trash and free stuff. Well, those things plus the bow and the picks, but still a lot cheaper than you would get if you purchased this at a florist or at a store. Next, I'm going to work on the small 1990s primitive wreath. I've removed all of the acorns and berries and little scraps of material. And now I'm going to be using all these different greens that they had at Lowe's. So some of these pretty ones, I don't even know what type of green, that cypress I think it might be or something like that. But anyway, I'm going to start with that. It's just so pretty, and just lay it, or sorry, not lay it, but insert it in. And then I'm going to attach it the same way, where I'm going to just kind of wrap that wire around to hold it, secure it in place. Then I'm going to continue with all of these greens all around the first layer, and then go back with the different types of evergreen. And I'm not even certain what types, but there's even different types of evergreen there. Some are like a flatter evergreen, and then the other ones are like a bushier evergreen. And they just, you know, a nice combination like that just makes such a pretty display. And also here, like in the other wreath, once it gets pretty full, you can just go ahead and start sticking the stems in without wrapping them. They will stay pretty secure. And then here's what it looked like once all of the evergreens were inserted. And again, it's a little bit of a different looking wreath because I did use a bunch of different types of evergreen, but you'll see how it all comes together once I put in these picks, which I also got from Walmart, again for 98 cents each. And I believe I used 5 of these picks in this arrangement. And again, I'm going to just stick them into the wreath, going in that same, you know, always in the same direction. And then I'm going to just space 5 around the wreath. And then that's going to create the little ring for my vase, which is going to hold my candles. And then here it is before I put my candles in, which also makes a pretty little wreath itself. But I want to give my vase a little bit of a lift because this ring is pretty full now. And so what I want to do is I just added like a little chafing dish upside down underneath. And then I had this large vase from Walmart. I have a couple of these. They make really great all kinds of different things I use them for, but I had, I believe that they are $4.98 or something like that at Walmart, so they're very inexpensive. They're nice large vase, they're tall, and they are wide. And here you can see it finished. You can see it can fit 2 of the pillar candles inside. From this angle, you can see that little dish on the bottom, but for the most part, you can't really see that. I just wanted, again, to have a little bit of height to the vase so that it wasn't eaten up by that arrangement. Next, I'm going to work on that sad little manky tree. So you can see here, it is a poor sad little tree. Too full to be a Charlie Brown tree, but you know, it must be Charlie Brown's cousin. I'm not sure. It's a sad little guy. But again, I always start by fluffing the original item and just, you know, make sure everything gets nice and straightened out and, you know, it's nice and easy to get the evergreens in. So with this one, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to use these water jewels. If you're not familiar with them, they are something that is used in floral arrangements. They're just little beads when they come in the package, but then you put them in water and then they turn into these little hydrated circles. There is an ongoing joke in our house that I refer to these as waterified orbs because I didn't know what else to describe them one time. And anyway, I also take these floral tubes. And these are used for fresh floral arrangements. You put water inside and then put the cap back on, and then you can stick the stems in and it'll keep them hydrated. But in this application, it really doesn't work so well because if the tube is sideways or upside down, like in a garland or something like that, all that water is just going to fall right out. So to fix that problem, I just fill the tubes with my waterified orbs instead, and that works out just perfectly. And you can get both the tubes and the jewels at any craft store. So now I'm going to take my evergreens and I'm going to stick the stems through the little hole in the tube, and then this is going to keep my evergreens nice and hydrated. Now this is a method you would want to use if you have a particular concern about the greens staying hydrated. So if you wanted them to last for a really long time, like in this application here with this little tree, or if you live in a warmer climate like I do, you cannot, as you know, you cannot have fresh greens outside. They will dry up to a crisp and be brown by the time Christmas rolls around. So this would be a way to keep those greens hydrated in your wreaths and garlands and other items outside. Now I'm going to just start inserting the evergreen tubes the same way I did just the plain evergreens, by sticking the tube into the tree and then using one of the tree branches to wrap the tube and then secure the evergreens inside. Now the tubes I'm using here are probably too big for this small tree, and they do sell the smaller tubes, so you would probably want to use those if you were to do a small tree like this, but these are a perfect size for the larger wreaths and garlands. Now, if you live in colder climates and you want to use these clippings to decorate outside, then no need for this step. You can just go ahead and use the greens straight up the way I did in the first DIYs, because they'll stay beautiful for you through the season. I lived in Pennsylvania most of my life and always used the fresh greens outside on the door and the porch, and it never had any problems. It was beautiful through the season. And then I'm going to just continue around the tree, inserting the tubes with the evergreens in them, and just wrap them a little bit there and continue on my way all the way up the tree. And now I'll just take it outdoors so that you can see the top of the tree, because the indoor camera, I can't get that angle. But again, just inserting. And this stage, again, it kind of gets to a point where I don't need to wrap it. It's just going to stay in place just by inserting it into the tree. And then there you have the final tree. So it looks like a cute little Christmas tree. And then I'm going to take some of this I'm not sure what it is, I think it's like a trim or something, but it looks like it has little pom-poms on it. So it looks like a little pom-pom garland. So I'm going to just take that ribbon and wrap that around the tree. And I got that from Hobby Lobby, I believe. Yes. And then I took this ribbon that I got from Hobby Lobby in the gingham check. And then I'm just cutting little pieces of the ribbon, and I'm going to just tie it around the branches all over the tree. And then I felt like it just needed a little bit more color, so I added some of these jingle bell ornaments that I got from the Dollar Tree. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this Trash to Treasure DIY featuring my very most favoriteest decorating hack of all time, and the hack within a hack of using water-fied orbs in plastic floral tubes to keep your greens hydrated. I hope you also like that they were made from old things and free stuff, because it's always great to repurpose things and also to get some really cool stuff for free. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to give a thumbs up, and please share with any family and friends you think would also enjoy this video. If you have a favorite or plan to use this decorating hack, or have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comment box below. If you're not already a subscriber and you like what you see, please consider subscribing. We'd love to have you join the family. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.